Welcome back to Stories from Sector 8. I'm WellArmedWithTacos, and I have another 40k story for you today. This one I played on the 18th, which is today as of recording, which will be tomorrow as of video uploading. This was a 1v1 at 1250 points, Orcs versus Harlequins, with me as Orcs. Neither of us brought Deep Strike, and the game ended up being called on turn 4 because my opponent had to leave. The current points were 5 and 3. But it really could have gone, in my opinion, either way. Everyone observing the game, including the player against me, kind of threw it as a win for me. But that's not really kind of my thing. If you leave, I will always write it down as a tie or as a no match, because anything could happen. I understand that the odds are astronomical, but yes, you could spend the entire rest of the game rolling 6s, and I could spend the entire time rolling 1s. It's possible. You really can have one model change the entire course of a game. It can happen. It really can happen. I probably did not do a video on this one, because this is probably before I was doing this series, but a long time ago, well, not that long ago, a couple of months ago, when I first fought Harlequins myself with Orcs, I brought a traditional Orc list because I knew Harlequins were melee. That's all Harlequins are, is a heavy melee hitter army. Playing Orcs, I was confident that my army would be superior to him in terms of melee, and I could win because I would outdo him in melee. This was false. This was horribly false. Harlequins are far superior in melee to Orcs. They are. They genuinely are. They are a better melee army than Orcs. Because I got my arse kicked last time playing a melee version of Orcs, I decided that this game I was going to bring a lot of dakka. And usually I don't list tailor against my opponents, but this game was a little bit more personal because this player has been kind of taunting me for a while about Orcs and everything. So he was commenting about Orcs have no shooting. Well, a lot of players think Orc have no shooting, but if you know, if you know the semblance thing about Orcs, is you should know they have as much respect for shooting as they do stabbing things with a sword or hitting things with a club. They love dakka. They invented the term dakka. They love dakka. Believe me. Orcs can do a shooting army, and I proved that here. I don't know if I would have won, but the odds were stacked against him when he had to go. And I feel bad. This is the kind of game I feel bad about having it end like this, because I told him from the beginning I was determined I was going to lose. I did not think I was going to win after I saw the list he had brought, because what he brought was actually very well suited to go against what I brought. He kind of went against me in the same regard. So I was being a whiny little brat the whole time, saying why bother? I've lost. That's kind of my attitude. I'm very pessimistic when it comes to 40k, only because I've earned the right to be pessimistic. When I only play about 1 game a month and I lose 7 games in a row, I've earned that right, and I have had that happen. So I was not necessarily going into this with the brightest rainbow of intentions, and then he seized the initiative, which only made it worse. But through what has to be brilliant dice rolls on my part, and what I honestly think was bad strategy on his part, I feel he made a lot of mistakes, and I think that cost him. I know things that he could have done that would have won him the game. He had bad target priority. Anyways, I made a very specific list, not necessarily tailoring against him, though it was somewhat tailoring, as I said before. But I had this great idea in mind that I wanted to try. Orc vehicles, all of them, which are not walkers, begin, one of them can change, begin as open-topped. The Orc vehicles are open-topped. It's just how Orcs are. What my idea was to bring a bunch of open-topped vehicles, and the rule with open-topped vehicles is any models inside, a unit inside, can all fire their weapons because it's open-top. They're all leaning out and shooting their guns. So my idea was to go as vehicle hoarding as I could, and flood the table with vehicles full of dudes with guns, and just shoot and shoot and shoot and shoot. The list tailoring element sort of came in as in I had thought, mistakenly so, his army did not have an answer for vehicles. Oh no! His army had answers for vehicles. A lot of answers for vehicles. That was where I was like, he should have had the win, because that was kind of my ace in the hole. But regardless of that, it worked brilliantly. It worked brilliantly. It really did. It was gorgeous when it went off. When it worked as it, like how I foresaw it would. What I brought was, I brought 2 units of shooter boys in trucks, so only 12. There were 10 boys, a big shooter, and a knob with a pole, just to make sure nothing went wrong. So shooter boys in 2 trucks, because all I own are 2 trucks. So that was that. I brought 2 units of Gretchen to sit on the table, and if I needed to hoard objectives, I could hold objectives with them. Grots are a fantastic piece for orcs. They really are. For 67 points, you can bring 20 of the little guys. They provide a 6-up cover save for everyone behind them, which for orcs is better than what they usually get. And they can sit on objectives like no one's business. Grots are brilliant. 2 units of shooter boys in trucks, 2 units of grots, 20 each, and I brought a death dread, because again I was going off the fact that he couldn't deal with it. I brought tank hunters, tank busters. I brought 13 tank busters because I knew with Harlequins they put all their dudes in boats. I was not wrong. I brought tank busters and I set them up on the table. I didn't put them in a vehicle because all they can take is a truck, is a dedicated transport. Here was the other thing I did. This is where I sunk all my points into in it. This is the one thing on the table that sort of worked and then sort of didn't. I brought, as my 1 HQ, I brought a Big Mech. I didn't bring a war boss to this game. I didn't have access to a walk because I didn't intend to do any charging, and I didn't. I didn't declare any charges the whole game. I wanted to abuse my shooting powers. I brought a Big Mech. I bought him a custom force field with a 5-up invulnerable save. I bought him the Fix-A-Uppas, which gives him a 3-up vehicle repair check. And I bought 2 Grot Oilers, which means he gets to re-roll that 3-up, even if he manages to fail that 3-up, he gets to re-roll it. And I put him along with 6 flash kits into a battle wagon. And that battle wagon, oh, I also brought a looted wagon. I brought a looted wagon as well. That battle wagon was sort of like my point sink, and for the first 3 turns of the game, it did its job. At that point, it was a battle wagon with 4 big shooters, a cannon, and a kill cannon, with 6 flash kits and the big boss inside, sitting there with a 3-up repair check, with it will not die, with a 5-up invulnerable save. Like, I made this thing as hard to kill as I could. And it was a dakka machine. My 2 trucks were also dakka machines for the first turn. Neither of them lived past turn 2. One of them got wounded, the other one did not. But my trucks also did magnificently. Again, 10 shooter boys sitting on the side of a truck do a lot of dakka to toughness 3 elves. They really do. My tank hunters basically, I keep calling them tank hunters. My tank busters basically flubbed. They didn't really do any. I'm sorry about that. I made a cut right there because I accidentally hit the spacebar to stop recording. What was I talking about? The tank busters. I tried to go tank busters. Tried to go for Glory Hog. They didn't succeed. They wounded the vehicle. Didn't pop it. My flash kits and my everything else was doing was basically everything on the table was doing admirably. What he brought, everything he brought was a formation. His entire table was a formation. So he was playing unbound, but his formations gave him all the rules that he would get for being bound. So he was okay in that regard. He brought 2 troops. He brought Death Jester, a Shadow Seer, and a Solitaire. He brought a Void Reaver, 2 of his other boats that I don't know what they're called, and 2 units of jet bikes. Three of those little vehicles, and 2 units of jet bikes, 2 people strong each. He stole the initiative. He had everything move forward. Took a couple of shots, did some damage, but didn't really take out anything. His units eventually had to come out of the tanks, and all of my dakka just annihilated his 2 troops, because it was just too much firepower for them. Both of them got an assault off and killed something in assault, but when they were out of assault, they got shot to death. Same thing with basically everything else he had. It would assault and then get shot to death, because that's all I was doing. He assaulted the truck, blew it up, and then my dudes would pile out, and on my turn shoot the hell out of him, and that's how it happened. His warlord, I killed his warlord. It was not any of the things I mentioned before. It was some other guy who was part of one of the, no, he had 3 troops. I'm sorry, I killed one of them so fast I forgot it was there. He had 3 troops. One of them had his warlord in it. I ended up killing his warlord. He ended up not killing mine. His Solitaire assaulted the Death Dread and blew it up immediately. Death Dread never got to swing. His Death Jester and Shadow Seer never saw combat, but never took wounds. They were just fine the whole game. They just kind of chilled there. The Death Jester in particular stood in cover the whole time, so it had a 2-up cover save, and I couldn't touch it. The Shadow Seer was basically doing nothing the whole game. It kept casting a spell on itself, where I would need to roll 2d6 times 2 to determine range against it, so I just bothered to never shoot again. I never shot it, but because it never did anything to me either, really. Towards the end of the game, and this is where I got very disappointed in my battle wagon, the Solitaire assaulted the battle wagon, and the battle wagon immediately blew up. Regardless of my 5-up bimbo save, it just blew up. And the It Will Not Die I bought, the extra armor I bought, the big mech I brought with it, with the Grot Oilers, didn't matter. With the Fixer Upper's artifact, didn't matter. None of it mattered. None of it mattered. The truck went from undamaged to dead, just because the Solitaire decided to poke it with its finger, and it blew up. And then the 6, this is when he decided to call it, right when he blew up my wagon, because he said he had to go. I asked him if you could let me have, or if he could let me have the beginning of my turn, so that I could try to kill the Solitaire, who is now no longer clocked in combat and standing out in the middle of the open. And my 6 flash kits with the knob, or with the big mech, just unloaded, and they killed the Solitaire. He was dead. So at that point, all he had left was one of his little vehicles. No, one of his little vehicles. He had his Void Reaver left. One member of a troop, just one member of a troop. Everyone else was dead. The Shadow Seer and the other guy. But he really had me kind of cornered. All he needed to do is, if any of those guys got an assault off, they would kill the Shooter Boys in combat. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. So I still say it could have gone either way, but they were all content to say I won. It's not a win in my book. I'll just call it game nil. Nobody wins. Nobody loses either. It's better that way, because you never know what could have happened. Thank you for listening. I will be trying to splice this in with the other recorded narration. Hopefully I can do that. See you guys later, and thanks for listening. Bye.